Welcome, history wanderers, to another quiet dive into the past, where we unravel the strange, gritty truths of royal life to ease you into sleep. Whether you're tucked in or winding down, drop a comment with your city and time zone. Love knowing where you're drifting off from. If these tales of forgotten courts spark your curiosity, hit subscribe for more. Tonight, we slip into the shadowed halls of queens, women of power, yet pawns in a ruthless game. Why were some forced to wed boys barely old enough to shave? We'll explore the cold logic of politics, dynasty, and survival that bound queens to teenage husbands, from medieval courts to Renaissance intrigues. Picture cold castles, whispered deals, and young grooms trembling under crowns too big for their heads. Across 7 segments, we'll trace the reasons, alliances, inheritance, control, and the human cost, all in a soothing hum to lull you to rest. The candle flickers in your chamber, casting shadows on stone walls hung with tapestries, their threads tracing your lineage back to forgotten kings. It's a cold night in a medieval court, perhaps 15th century Castile or England, and you are a queen, crowned yet caged. Your velvet gown weighs heavy, its gold embroidery a chain as real as the iron links on a prisoner. Advisors murmur outside, their voices sharp with plans, their boots scuffing the rushes strewn across the floor. You're no girl, perhaps in your 20s or 30s, seasoned by years of ruling or regency, yet your fate hinges on a boy, a teenage groom, barely bearded, chosen not by you, but by a council of men clutching maps and genealogies. Your marriage, they insist, will bind kingdoms, secure thrones, or end wars. You are a queen, but tonight you're a pawn, your crown a burden in a game of power where love is a stranger. Let the fires crackle and the wind's low moan lull you toward slumber. The chamber is a world apart, its air thick with wax and lavender, the scent of your quill's ink mingling with the damp stone's chill. You sit at a carved oak table, a parchment before you, its Latin script detailing a marriage contract you didn't write. Your fingers, calloused from signing decrees, trace the wax seal of your house, a lion, a cross, a fleur-de-lis. The boy, they've chosen maybe 15 or 16, is a prince from a neighboring realm, or a cousin from your own tangled dynasty. His name, Alfonso, Edward, or Philip, means little. He's a vessel for alliances, a tool to keep your throne from crumbling. You've seen his portrait, a stiff painting of a youth with wide eyes and a jaw too soft for the crown he'll wear, beside you. He's no match for your experience, your will, yet the council insists, marry him, or risk war, rebellion, or a rival claimant. You rise, your gown rustling, and pace to the window, its leaded panes rattling in the wind. Beyond, the castle's torches flicker, guards pacing the battlements, their armor clinking in the dark. You rule, perhaps as a regnant queen, like Isabella of Castile, or a regent, like Margaret of Anjou. But your power is fragile, a thread stretched taut by noble factions and foreign kings. The council, grey-bearded men with ambition in their eyes, sees your unmarried state as a weakness. A queen alone invites chaos, suitors vying for your hand, nobles plotting to control you, or worse, a usurper eyeing your throne. Marriage, they argue, is your shield, and a teenage groom is their choice. Young enough to mold, old enough to sire heirs, his bloodline pure enough to satisfy the court. The logic is cold, forged in the crucible of statecraft. You think of Isabella, wed at 18 to Ferdinand of Aragon, a youth of 17, their union uniting Castile and Aragon to forge Spain. Or Mary of Hungary, regent in the 16th century, forced to marry a boy king to secure Habsburg lands. These queens, like you, were chess pieces, moved to block enemies or claim new squares. A teenage husband offers advantages. An older man, seasoned and ambitious, might challenge your authority, his own agenda clashing with yours. A boy, still green, can be guided, his loyalty shaped by your hand or the council's. His youth ensures years to produce heirs, vital for a dynasty teetering on your womb. Yet the cost is yours, your freedom, your heart, bound to a stranger who barely knows himself. The council's voices grow louder, their arguments a drone through the oak door. They speak of peace treaties, of border disputes settled by your vows, of gold from a dowry to fill the treasury. You've heard of Joanna of Castile, dubbed the Mad, married at 16 to Philip the Handsome, a teenage Habsburg whose charm masked a dynasty's greed. Her marriage secured Spain for the Habsburgs, but at what price? Her life, her sanity, consumed by a union she didn't choose. You feel her shadow, her story a warning etched in the parchment before you. The boy they've picked might be a cousin, keeping wealth and titles within the family, or a foreign prince, tying your kingdom to his. Either way, your choice is an illusion. Refuse, and the council's whispers turn to plots, your throne slipping to a rival. The sensory weight is crushing. The candle's wax drips, its acrid scent sharp in your nose. The flame's heat warming one hand while the other chills against the stone sill. The gown's velvet clings, heavy as gilt, its embroidery pricking your skin. The quill's feather brushes your wrist, its ink bitter on your lips when you bite the tip, thinking. Sounds surround you. The fires pop, the winds howl, the distant clatter of a servant's tray. The advisor's murmurs like a tide against the door. The parchment crackles as you push it aside, its words a cage you can't escape. The chamber's tapestries, woven with your ancestors' triumphs, mock you, their eyes seeming to judge your hesitation. You're a queen, yet this room, this night, feels like a prison. The emotional toll is heavier still. You've ruled through wars or regencies, your mind sharp from years of decrees and diplomacy. Yet you're reduced to a bargaining chip. You, think of your mother, perhaps a queen herself, her warnings about duty over desire now ringing true. The boy's face in the portrait haunts you, his youth, his inexperience, a mirror to your own lost freedom. You imagine his arrival, awkward in ill-fitting armor, his voice cracking as he swears vows he doesn't understand. Will he resent you, a woman older, wiser, holding the reins he's too young to grasp? Or will he bend, a puppet for you or the council, his youth a chain as much as yours, the kingdom's needs? Peace, heirs, stability. Press on your chest, each breath a reminder of sacrifice. The gods, or God, watch. Their favor a hope you cling to. Their judgment a shadow you can't shake. The council enters, their boots heavy, their faces stern. The chief advisor, perhaps a bishop or a duke, unrolls a map pointing to borders secured by this marriage. The boy's house brings ships, he says, or gold, or men to hold the frontier. You nod, your voice steady, but hollow, agreeing to meet the groom. You've heard of Catherine of Aragon, betrothed at 15 to Arthur, England's teenage heir, a union meant to bind Spain and England, but leaving her widowed, adrift. Her story, like Joanna's, is yours. A queen's power tethered to a boy's life, her future gambled on his survival. The advisors bow, their eyes avoiding yours, knowing the cost but not sharing it. You're left alone, the candle guttering, the contract's ink drying like blood on your hands. The wedding looms, a spectacle of banners and trumpets. But tonight, you're alone with your duty. You think of the boy, his name a weight, his face, a mystery. Will he fear you, admire you, or simply obey? The court will watch, judging every glance, every word, seeking cracks in your authority. You've ruled alone, or nearly so, but marriage changes everything. A boy king at your side, a council pulling his strings, a kingdom waiting for an heir. The throne's crown is heavy, its gold cold against your brow, its power a chain you can't break. The night deepens, the fire fading. The Viking queens of old, fierce, unbowed, whispering in your dreams. Their strength a fleeting comfort as you face the dawn's demands. The council room hums with ambition, parchment maps rustling as ministers plot your marriage. Their voices a low drone in the torchlit haze of a medieval court, perhaps 15th century Castile or 16th century Hungary. You're a queen, your crown, a cold weight from last night's solitary vigil, the ink of a marriage contract still drying in your chambers. Here, in this oak-panelled room, bearded advisors, bishops, dukes, and scribes circle a table strewn with genealogical charts, their fingers tracing lines to a boy, a teenage prince no older than 16, his name whispered like a key to a locked gate. He's not chosen for love or strength, but for his youth, malleable, unformed, a clay vessel for their schemes. They want a king consort who won't challenge your throne, a boy to secure your dynasty without stealing your power. You stand at the room's edge, your velvet gown brushing the rushes, listening as they forge your future with a child. Let the quills scratch and the fires crackle, lull you towards slumber. The room is a crucible of power, its air heavy with wax, ink, and the sour sweat of men who've argued since dawn. A fire burns in the hearth, its smoke curling toward the rafters, mingling with the musty scent of old parchment. The table is a battlefield, maps showing borders, Castile's plains, Hungary's rivers, where wars could flare without this, marriage. The advisors, their robes stiff with embroidery, point to a name. Perhaps Alfonso, a boy prince from Aragon, or Louis, a Habsburg youth. His portrait, propped against a candelabrum, shows a pale face, eyes wide with youth's uncertainty, his shoulders too narrow for the armor he's painted in. He's no warrior, no rival to your authority, and that's the point. The council sees a boy they can mold, a husband who'll sire heirs but not thrones, leaving you to rule. You grip the back of a carved chair, its wood biting your palms, as the chief advisor, a bishop, his cross glinting, explains the strategy. An older man, seasoned in war or court, might demand power, his ambition a knife at your throat. A teenage groom, still learning to wield a sword or a quill, is a safer bet. He's a blank slate, his loyalty theirs to shape, his inexperience, a leash to keep him from outshining you. You think of Isabella of Castile, wed at 18 to Ferdinand, a 17-year-old prince whose youth ensured their partnership tilted toward her will, forging Spain without him overshadowing her. Or Mary of Hungary, regent at 24, married to Louis II, a boy of 15, to secure Habsburg lands against Ottoman threats. These queens, like you, were paired with boys to preserve their dynasties, their authority intact, but their lives bound to children. The council's logic is ruthless, a calculus of power over flesh. A young husband means years of fertility, crucial for a queen whose womb carries the dynasty's future. A boy of 15 or 16, healthy and untested, promises decades to produce heirs, unlike an older man whose health might falter. The advisors cite lineage. The boy's blood, often your cousin or a distant kin, keeps wealth and titles within the family, echoing the royal intermarriage strategies of old. The Habsburgs, with their tangled web of cousin marriages, mastered this, ensuring lands from Spain to Austria stayed under one banner. Your groom's youth also buys time. Time for the council to train him, to whisper in his ear, to make him a puppet of their will, not yours. You see the trap. He's their weapon, not yours. His boyish charm, a mask for their control. The room's tension is a living thing, the advisor's eyes darting to you, gauging your silence. You're no fool. You've ruled through rebellions, balanced noble factions, signed decrees that sent men to war. Yet here, your voice is a formality, your consent a ritual. The bishop unrolls a genealogy. Its ink lines a maze linking you to the boy, perhaps a second cousin, his mother your aunt. His blood is pure, he says. His house, our ally. You know the cost of refusal. A rival faction might back another claimant. A foreign king might seize your borders, or nobles might revolt, branding you unfit for lack of an heir. You think of Joanna of Castile, married at 16 to Philip, a teenage Habsburg whose youth secured Spain but broke her spirit. Her story, whispered in court, is a shadow over your own. The sensory weight is relentless. The fire's heat warms your face, but a draught chills your back, the gown's velvet heavy as armor. The parchment's musty scent clings to your fingers. The quills scratch a rhythm of inevitability as a scribe notes the council's terms. Sounds surround you. The advisor's murmurs, the clink of a goblet as a duke sips wine, the distant bark of a hound in the courtyard. The maps rustle, their edges curling. The candles wax, dripping with a soft plop. Its acrid smell sharp, in your nose. Your hands, steady from years of ruling, tremble slightly. The chair's wood grounding you as you face the boy's painted eyes. His youth a mirror to your lost freedom. The council room is a cage, its walls closing with every word. The emotional toll is a quiet storm. You've outwitted rivals, led councils, yet here you're reduced to a vessel for alliances. You think of your mother, her lessons on duty, her own marriage a bargain sealed in a room like this. The boy's youth stirs pity. He's a child, thrust into a man's role, his dreams as irrelevant as yours. Will he fear you, a queen who knows the game, or cling to you, a mother figure in a court of wolves? The council's promises, peace, heirs, stability, ring hollow against your isolation. You imagine the wedding, his boyish hand in yours, the court watching for weakness. The gods, or God, loom, their favor, a prayer you whisper, their judgment, a weight in your chest. Your dynasty's survival rests on this boy, but so does your cage. The council moves to specifics, their voices crisp. The boy's house brings ships, gold, or troops, vital for a border war or an empty treasury. His youth ensures he won't challenge your decrees, at least not yet, but the noble's eyes gleam, plotting to sway him. You think of Margaret of Anjou, wed at 15 to Henry VI, a boy king whose weakness let her rule, but also sparked England's Wars of the Roses. Her strength, like yours, was her curse, her power tied to a boy who couldn't match her. The advisors, draft terms, dowries, titles, the boy's role as consort, not king. You nod, your voice a formality, the quill's ink sealing your fate. The boy will arrive soon, his armor too big, his voice unsteady, a pawn like you in this relentless game. The meeting ends, the advisors bowing, their boots scuffing as they leave. You're alone, the fire dying, the map still spread, the boy's portrait staring. You imagine his arrival, a nervous youth, his hands trembling as he kneels, his future as uncertain as yours. The court will whisper, judging your pairing, seeking cracks in your rule. You've survived worse, rebellions, betrayals. But this feels different, a personal surrender. The throne's weight, the dynasty's demands, press harder than ever. The night deepens, the castle quiet. The Viking queen's fierce songs a distant echo, their strength a fleeting comfort as you face a marriage not your own. Banners snap in the wind, the cathedral's bells tolling as you, a queen, stand at the altar, your crown gleaming under stained glass light, sometime in the 15th or 16th century. The council's schemes from the oak-panelled room have led to this moment, a grand wedding to a teenage prince, his boyish frame dwarfed by velvet robes, his eyes flickering with nerves. The air is thick with incense and ambition, the crowd of nobles murmuring, their silk rustling like a restless sea. You're no stranger to power, your throne hard won through regency or inheritance. Yet today you're a linchpin, your vows to this youth binding kingdoms, quelling wars, or securing gold. He's a prince from a rival realm, or a cousin from your own bloodline, chosen not for love, but for borders and treaties. The cathedral's stone walls echo with the weight of this union, a spectacle of alliance that costs you your freedom. Let the bells chime and the crowd's hum lull you toward slumber. The cathedral is a cavern of ritual, its vaulted ceiling soaring, the air heavy with myrrh and beeswax from flickering candles. Your gown, stiff with gold thread, weighs like armor, its hem brushing the cold stone floor, embroidered with your house's crest. A lion, an eagle, a cross. The boy beside you, perhaps 15, stands rigid, his hands trembling as he clutches a ceremonial sword too heavy for his frame. His name, Henry, Philip, or James, carries the weight of his dynasty, perhaps Tudor, Habsburg, or Stuart. His face, pale under a jeweled cap, betrays youth's uncertainty, his voice cracking as he recites vows in Latin, coached by priests. The crowd watches, nobles in furs and velvet, their eyes sharp for signs of weakness, their whispers a tide of judgment. This marriage, they know, is no mere ceremony. It's a treaty, a chain forged to bind kingdoms. It links your life and his. You feel the weight of their gaze, your crown pressing your brow. It's gold cold despite the cathedral's warmth. You're a queen regnant, like Mary, Queen of Scots, or a regent wielding power for a child king, like Catherine de' Medici. Your marriage to this boy seals an alliance, a peace with England, a buffer against France, or a claim to disputed lands. You think of Catherine of Aragon, wed at 15 to Arthur Tudor, a 15-year-old prince, in 1501, their union tying Spain to England against French ambition. Her vows, like yours, were a diplomatic triumph, her dowry of gold and ships strengthening England's navy, but her youth and Arthur's left them both pawns in a game of thrones. Or Mary of Scots, married at 15 to Francis, the 14-year-old French Dauphin, to secure Scotland's alliance with France against England's threat. These unions, like yours, were bloodless battles, fought with rings instead of swords. The strategy is clear, its logic cold as the stone beneath your feet. A teenage groom brings youth's promise, years to sire heirs, vital for a dynasty resting on your womb. His house, often a rival or ally, offers troops, trade, or territory, as the council promised in their maps and charts. A foreign prince, like Francis for Mary, ties your kingdom to his, a shield against invasion or a lever for influence. A cousin, like the Habsburgs' endless intermarriages, keeps wealth and titles within the family, echoing the purity obsession of ancient pharaohs or Castilian nobles. The boy's youth ensures he's no threat to your rule, unlike an older man whose experience might challenge your decrees. He's a consort, not a king, his role to stand beside you, not above. Yet the noble's eyes glint, knowing they can sway a boy's mind, making him their tool against you. The ceremony unfolds, a pageant of power. The bishop's voice booms, his censer swinging, its smoke stinging your eyes. You exchange rings, the boy's hand clammy, his gold band slipping on your finger, too large for his own. The crowd cheers, a forced roar, their loyalty as fragile as the peace this marriage buys. You think of Isabella of Castile, whose marriage to Ferdinand at 17 united Spain, their youth a gamble that forged a nation but chained her to a partner who later vied for control. Or Margaret of Austria, wed at 17 to a teenage Spanish prince, her dowry securing Habsburg claims, but her heart left to diplomacy's mercy. These queens, like you, stood at altars, their vows sealing borders, but binding their lives to boys who barely knew the world. The sensory weight is overwhelming. The incense clogs your throat, its sweetness cloying, the candle's heat prickling your skin under heavy velvet. The boy's breath, quick and shallow, carries the faint mint of herbs chewed to mask his nerves. Sounds surround you, the bells toll, The choirs chant, the nobles rustling silks, a distant horse's whinny from the courtyard. The cathedral's stones are cold under your slippers, the gown's embroidery scratching your arms, the crown's weight tilting your head. The boy's eyes meet yours, wide and uncertain, a child playing king, his sword's hilt gleaming but useless. The crowd's murmurs rise, their cheers a mask for schemes. The cathedral a stage where you're both actors in a play you didn't write. The emotional toll is a silent ache. You've ruled through war or regency, your mind honed by years of balancing noble factions, yet here you're a spectacle, your power tethered to a boy. You think of your mother, her warnings about duty, her own marriage a bargain for peace. The boy's youth stirs pity. He's a pawn too, thrust into a role he's unready for, his dreams of glory crushed by courtly chains. Will he admire you, fear you, or grow to resent the queen who overshadows him? The noble's whispers hint at their plans, to mold him, to use him against you, to watch your every move for weakness. The kingdom's hopes, peace, heirs, strength, rest on this union, but so does your isolation. God's favor, a cross at your neck, is a prayer you cling to, his judgment a shadow in the stained glass above. The banquet follows, a blur of roasted boar, spiced wine, and minstrels' lutes. You sit at the high table, the boy beside you, his hands fumbling with a goblet, spilling wine on his sleeve. The nobles toast, their smiles sharp, their eyes on the boy, already whispering to him. You think of Catherine's wedding feast, her joy overshadowed by England's demands, or Mary's, her laughter hiding fears of French plots. The feast is a show of unity, but it's a lie. Your marriage buys peace, but only for a season. The boy's house gains influence, your kingdom gains ships or gold, but you lose your solitude, your power now shared with a child who'll grow into a man you can't predict. The night deepens, the cathedral emptying, the crowd's cheers fading as you're led to the royal chambers. The boy follows, his steps hesitant, his face flushed. From wine and fear, you're a queen, your throne a fortress, but this marriage is a crack in its walls. The alliance is sealed, the kingdom's borders safe for now, but the cost is yours, your freedom, your heart, bound to a boy who's more symbol than spouse. The candles dim, the bells silent, the Viking queen's fierce songs a distant echo, their strength a fleeting comfort as you face the dawn's demands. The nursery's cradle creaks, its carved oak gleaming in the firelight, as you, a queen, gaze at the empty bed, its linens a silent demand for an heir, somewhere in the 15th or 16th century. The cathedral's bells from your wedding to a teenage, prints still echo in your memory. Their toll a reminder of vows that bound kingdoms, but chained your life. Now, in this quiet chamber, the weight of your crown presses harder. Not just to rule, but to secure your dynasty's future. Your advisors, their voices hushed beyond the tapestry-covered walls, have chosen a boy, perhaps a cousin of 16, to keep your bloodline pure and your lands intact. His youth is no accident. It's a strategy to preserve wealth, titles, and power within your house, ensuring the lion or eagle on your crest flies for another generation. You're a queen, but in this game of inheritance, you're a vessel, your womb the key to an empire's survival. Let the cradles creak and the fire's soft pop lull you towards slumber. The nursery is a sanctuary and a cage, its air heavy, with lavender and the faint must of woolen hangings. The hearth's glow casting shadows on walls painted with your family's arms. You stand by the cradle, your velvet gown brushing the rushes strewn across the stone floor. Its embroidery, gold threads of a rampant lion or crossed swords, pricking your skin. A single candle burns, its wax dripping with a soft plop, the scent acrid but familiar, mingling with the cedar of the cradle, carved for a child yet unborn. Beyond the door, the castle hums, servants' footsteps, a distant lute, the clink of a guard's armor. But here, it's just you and the weight of duty. The boy they've wed you to, perhaps a cousin from your mother's line, is a shadow in your mind, his boyish face from the wedding, a pale youth in oversized robes, haunting you as you face the dynasty's demands. You're a queen regnant, like Maria I of Portugal, or an heiress, like Joanna of Castile, your throne a fortress built on bloodline. The council's choice of a teenage groom was no whim. It's a move in the inheritance game, where lands, castles, and titles are the stakes. Without an heir, your dynasty crumbles, your fields, forests, and gold passing to a rival house, your name fading to a footnote. The boy, young and untested, is a safeguard. His blood, often your own, keeps wealth within the family, echoing the ancient obsession with purity seen in Egypt's pharaohs or Spain's Sangre Azul. A cousin marriage, like Maria's to her uncle Peter III in 18th century Portugal, ensures the throne stays with the House of Braganza, not a foreign prince who'd claim your lands. Your womb, they hope, will birth a child whose blood is untainted, a king to carry your crest. The strategy is brutal, its logic carved in stone. An older husband, seasoned and ambitious, might sire heirs but also demand power, splitting your lands or titles among his kin. A teenage groom, like Joanna's Philip the Handsome, a 16-year-old Habsburg, when wed in 1496, is malleable, his youth a leash to keep him from ruling in your stead. His bloodline, tied to yours through a shared grandparent, prevents the estate's fragmentation, a fear that haunted every noble house. The royal intermarriage documents' lesson is clear. Wealth and power are finite, to be hoarded within the family, like the Habsburgs' endless cousin unions that kept Spain and Austria under one banner. Your boy husband, barely bearded, promises years of fertility. His youth, a guarantee of heirs to secure your line before he grows bold enough to challenge you. You pace the nursery, the cradles creak a rhythm of expectation, your fingers tracing its carvings, runes or crosses, symbols of your house's endurance. The advisors' voices seep through the door, discussing dowries, titles, and the boy's role as consort, not king. They cite history. Isabella of Castile, wed to Ferdinand. At 17, their union keeping Castile's wealth from foreign hands, though her power was tested by his ambition. Or Margaret of Austria, married at 17 to Juan, a teenage Spanish prince, to lock Spain's riches within the Habsburg fold. These queens, like you, were pawns in the inheritance game, their marriages to young kin ensuring land stayed with the family, not lost to an outsider's banner. Your boy, perhaps a cousin from a cadet branch, is a similar gambit. His blood is yours, his heirs will bear your name, your castles and fields safe from rival houses. The nursery's quiet is deceptive, a calm before the storm of courtly schemes. The boy's youth is a double-edged sword. Pliable now, he'll grow, his loyalty uncertain. Will he bend to the council, becoming their puppet? Or to you, a queen who knows the game? The nobles, waiting in the great hall, watch for cracks. Your childless state, a weak heir or a boy consort who defies you. You think of Joanna, whose marriage to Philip secured Spain but cost her freedom, her sanity whispered away in courtly plots. Her son, Charles V, inherited an empire, but her life was a cautionary tale. A queen's power eroded by a boy's rise. Your own marriage, sealed with cathedral vows, is a similar risk. Your dynasty's future hinging on a child you must bear with a child you barely know. The sensory weight is relentless. The candle's flame dances, its wax pooling, the scent sharp in your nose, mixing with the nursery's lavender and damp stone. The gown's velvet clings, heavy as gilt, its gold threads scratching your arms, the crown's weight tilting your head. The cradle's creak is a soft dirge, its wood smooth under your fingers. The linen's crisp but empty. Sounds surround you. The fires crackle. The winds moan through leaded panes. The distant clatter of a servant's tray. The advisor's murmurs like a tide against the door. The tapestries, woven with your ancestors' triumphs, loom, their colours vivid in the firelight, their eyes seeming to judge your duty. The nursery is a haven, but its silence screams of expectation, a dynasty's hopes resting on your body. The emotional toll is a crushing tide. You've ruled through wars or regencies, your mind sharp from balancing noble factions. Yet here, you're a vessel, your life reduced to lineage. You think of your mother, her own marriage a bargain to preserve the family's name, her warnings about sacrifice now echoing. The boy's face, nervous at the altar, stirs pity. He's a pawn too, his youth no shield against the court's wolves. Will he resent you, a queen who overshadows him, or cling to you, a mother figure in a world he doesn't grasp? The noble's schemes, the council's whispers, press on your chest, each breath a reminder of duty. God's favour, a rosary in your hand, is a prayer you whisper, his judgment a shadow in the cradle's empty curve. Your dynasty's survival rests on this boy, but so does your cage. The council summons you, their boots heavy as they enter, parchments in hand. The chief advisor, perhaps a chancellor, unrolls a contract, its terms stark. The boy's title, your land's entailment, the heir's inheritance. They speak of stability, of fields and castles kept under your banner, not lost to a foreign. E-house. You nod, your voice steady but hollow, agreeing to the boy's place at your side. You think of Maria I, whose 1760 marriage to her uncle Peter III kept Portugal's throne in Braganza hands, her duty to produce a pure-blooded heir chaining her to a man twice her age. Your own boy, younger still, is a similar sacrifice. His youth ensures heirs, but his presence binds you to a life you didn't choose. The night deepens, the nursery dim, the fire's embers glowing. You imagine the boy, sleeping in his chambers, his dreams of knighthood or glory untouched by the weight you carry. The court will watch, judging your union, waiting for a child to secure the line. You've survived rebellions, outwitted rivals, but this feels heavier, a personal surrender to a dynasty's demands. The cradle stands empty, a silent promise and a threat, its creak a lullaby for a future you must forge. The Viking queens, fierce songs, tales of shield maidens are a distant echo, their strength a fleeting comfort as you face the dawn's relentless call. The court's whispers follow you, a queen seasoned by years of rule, as you stride through a torchlit hall, its tapestries glowing with your dynasty's crest, somewhere in the 15th or 16th century. The nursery's cradle, empty but heavy with expectation, lingers in your mind, a reminder of the boy husband, barely 16, tied to you by vows to secure your line. Here, in this cavernous hall, nobles in velvet and fur watch you, their eyes sharp as daggers, their murmurs a tide of schemes. You're older, perhaps in your late 20s or 30s, your mind honed by wars or regencies, yet your teenage consort, his voice still cracking, is both your shield and your vulnerability. His youth gives you leverage, a chance to mold him, but it's also a weapon for nobles eager to control you both, their plots swirling like smoke. This court is a battlefield, your marriage a chessboard where power, not love, moves the pieces. Let the goblets clink and the fire's roar lull you toward slumber. The hall is a crucible of intrigue, its air thick with the scent of spiced wine, burning pine, and the faint musk of damp wool from noble cloaks. Torches sputter in iron sconces, casting shadows that dance across tapestries woven with your house's arms. A lion, a fleur-de-lis, or a cross. You stand at the high table, your velvet gown heavy with silver embroidery, its threads pricking, your skin, the crown on your brow a cold weight. The boy consort sits beside you, his face flushed from wine, his hands fumbling with a silver goblet, too large for his grip. His name, perhaps Francis, Charles, or Henry, carries his dynasty's hopes, but his eyes, wide and uncertain, betray a youth unready for this stage. The nobles, their jewels glinting, watch every move, their laughter masking whispers of alliances and betrayals. This feast, a display of unity, is a lie. Your marriage to this boy is a tool for control, but whose? You're a queen regnant, like Catherine de' Medici, or a regent, like Margaret of Anjou. Your experience a blade sharpened by years of navigating courtly wolves. At 30, Catherine married the 14-year-old Henry II of France in 1547. Her maturity, a tool to guide his rule, though nobles schemed to sway him. Margaret, wed at 15 to the teenage Henry VI in 1445, became England's de facto ruler by her 20s. Her husband's weakness her strength, but also her burden. Like them, you wield power, your decrees shaping wars or peace. But your boy husband is a paradox. His youth lets you lead. His inexperience means he leans on you, his votes in council echoing yours, his signature a formality beside your own. Yet his youth is a crack in your armor, a chance for nobles to whisper in his ear, to turn him into their puppet against you. The strategy is clear, its edges sharp as the dagger at your waist. A teenage groom, unlike an older lord, poses no immediate threat to your throne. His lack of experience, still learning to wield a sword or read Latin, keeps him from challenging your authority, unlike a seasoned rival who'd demand co-rule. The royal intermarriage document's lesson resonates. Marrying within the family, often a cousin, consolidates power, as the Habsburgs did, their cousin unions keeping Spain and Austria intertwined. Your boy, perhaps a second cousin, ensures titles stay within your house, his blood as pure as yours, echoing the sangre azul of Castilian nobles. His youth promises heirs, vital for your dynasty, but also time for you to shape him, teach him loyalty, steer his ambitions, make him a consort who amplifies your rule, not undermines it. Yet the nobles see opportunity in his youth, their eyes glinting as they toast your health. The duke at the table's end, his chain of office heavy, offers the boy more wine, his smile too warm, his words too soft. A bishop, his cross gleaming, speaks of duty, but his glance at the boy hints at plans to mold him. They know a teenager is pliable, his mind open to flattery, his pride easily stoked. They'll gift him horses, hawks, or promises of glory, pulling him from your shadow to theirs. You think of Catherine, whose control over Henry II was challenged, by Diane de Poitiers, a mistress who swayed the young king's heart. Or Margaret, whose grip on Henry VI faltered as nobles exploited his frailty, fueling the Wars of the Roses. Your boy consort, still learning courtly manners, is a prize they seek to claim, his youth their leverage against your experience. The hall's energy is a storm, the feast a mask for power plays. Minstrels strum lutes, their notes clashing with the nobles' shouts. A wrestling match breaking out as men cheer, their fists thudding like war drums. You guide the boy's hand to raise a toast, his voice trembling but obedient. The crowds roar a fleeting victory. You teach him protocol, when to bow, what to say, knowing each lesson ties him closer to you. But the nobles watch. Their whispers are tied. The queen's too strong, the boy's too weak. They'll use him to curb your power, planting doubts in his mind, turning his admiration into resentment. You think of Mary of Scots, wed at 15 to the 14-year-old Francis, her authority eroded by French nobles who controlled her boy king, leaving her a queen in name only. Your own marriage, meant to secure your throne, is a tightrope, your control fragile as the goblet in his hand. The sensory weight is relentless. The fire's heat warms your face, but a draft chills your back. The gown's silver threads scratching your arms, the crown's pearls digging into your scalp. The wine's spice burns your throat, its warmth no comfort, the boy's breath sharp, with mint as he leans close, seeking your guidance. Sounds surround you, the lute's twang, the crowd's roar, the clink of goblets, a hound's bark from the courtyard. The tapestries shimmer, their colours vivid, the lion or cross glaring, as if judging your every move. The boy's hand brushes yours, clammy and uncertain. His velvet sleeve stained with wine. A child playing king in a hall of predators. The air is thick with intrigue, the smoke curling like the noble's schemes. The hall a stage where you must outwit them all. The emotional toll is a silent weight. You've outmaneuvered rivals, led armies, or balanced treasuries, yet here you're a puppeteer, your strings tied to a boy who barely knows himself. You think of your mother, her lessons on power, her own marriage a bargain to control a court. The boy's youth stirs pity. He's a pawn, his dreams of knighthood crushed by duty, his eyes seeking yours for approval. Will he grow to love you, fear you, or betray you, swayed by noble's flattery? The court's whispers, their eyes on your every gesture, press like a vice, each breath a reminder of your isolation. God's favour, a rosary at your waist, is a prayer you whisper, his judgment a shadow in the torchlight. Your power rests on this boy, but so does your vulnerability. His youth a chain you both wear. The feast winds down, the nobles departing, their bows stiff with hidden agendas. You lead the boy to your chambers, his steps hesitant, his face flushed from wine and fear. You'll teach him, guide him, make him yours, but the nobles' whispers follow. Their plans a shadow you can't shake. You think of Catherine, whose control over Henry II faltered as he grew, or Margaret, whose rule through Henry VI crumbled under noble schemes. Your boy consort, still a child, is your ally for now, but the court waits, ready to turn him against you. The night deepens, the hall quiet, the Viking queen's fierce songs a distant echo, their strength a fleeting comfort as you face a court that never sleeps. The quill trembles in your hand, its ink pooling on parchment as you sit alone in your private study. The fire's dim glow, casting shadows across a desk strewn with letters. Somewhere in the 15th or 16th century, the court's raucous hall, where nobles schemed around your teenage husband, fades into memory, its noise replaced by the quiet of this oak-panelled refuge. You're a queen, your crown a distant weight, your gowns velvet heavy with the day's burdens. The boy consort, perhaps 16, sleeps in his chambers, his boyish face, flushed at the feast, haunting your thoughts. Married to secure your dynasty, he's a stranger, his youth a mirror to your lost freedom. Here, in this solitary room, you face the unseen cost of your vows, humiliation, isolation, the slow erosion of your heart under duty's grind. Each letter you write, unsent, spills your private pain, a queen's strength crumbling in the dark. Let the fire's soft crackle and the wind's sigh lull you toward slumber. The study is a fortress of solitude, its air thick with the scent of wax, ink, and the cedar of bookshelves lining the walls. A single candle burns, its flame flickering, casting jagged shadows on tapestries woven with your house's crest. A lion, a cross, or a rose. Your gown, stiff with silver embroidery, clings to your skin, its threads pricking like the court's judgments. The crown you've set aside gleaming coldly on a velvet cushion. The desk before you holds a chaos of parchments, decrees you've signed, treaties sealed by your marriage, and private letters you'll never send. Their words are raw, confession of your heart's ache. The window's leaded panes rattle, a storm's breath seeping through, chilling your fingers as they grip the quill, its feather brushing your wrist, the ink's bitter tang sharp on your lips when you bite the tip in thought. You're a queen, regnant, like Catherine of Aragon, or a regent, like Catherine de' Medici, your mind forged in the crucible of war or diplomacy, yet here you're a woman, stripped bare by duty. At 30, Catherine of Aragon, widowed at 16 after her marriage to the teenage Arthur Tudor, faced years of uncertainty. Her second marriage to Henry VIII, a reminder of her role as a vessel for heirs, not a partner in love. Mary of Scots, wed at 15 to the 14-year-old Francis, carried the weight of Scotland's hopes, her youth stolen by a boy king's frailty and French court schemes. Joanna of Castile, married at 16 to Philip the Handsome, a teenage Habsburg, saw her power erode, her sanity questioned as her boy husband's rise diminished her. Like them, you're bound to a boy, perhaps a cousin, his blood as pure as yours, chosen to keep your dynasty's wealth intact, as the royal intermarriage document described with its focus on sangre azul and family consolidation. The emotional toll is a silent wound, deeper than any courtly plot. You've outwitted nobles, balanced treasuries, or led armies, yet this marriage reduces you to a role you can't escape. A queen whose worth lies in her womb, her heart a casualty of statecraft. The boy's youth, meant to secure your rule, is a daily humiliation. You imagine him now asleep, his dreams of knighthood untouched by the weight you carry. At court, his clumsy bows, his voice cracking mid-speech, draw stifled laughs from nobles, their eyes sliding to you, judging your strength against his weakness. You guide him, teaching protocol, correcting his Latin, but each lesson feels like mothering, not marriage, a reminder of the years between you. Will he grow to resent you, a queen who overshadows him, or cling to you, a child seeking a mother in a court of wolves? The study's quiet amplifies your thoughts. The fires pop a counterpoint to your racing heart. You write, the quills scratch a rhythm of despair. I am a queen, yet I am nothing. The words, unsent, are for you alone, a confession of isolation. You think of your mother, her own marriage a bargain for power, her warnings about sacrifice now a bitter truth. The boy's presence is a constant shadow. His nervous laughter at feasts, his awkward hand in yours during ceremonies, his eyes seeking approval you can't fully give. The court whispers of your union, calling it unnatural, a queen paired with a child, their pity a blade sharper than scorn. You've faced rebellion, betrayal, but this is different. A private grief. Your heart locked away like the letters you burn in the fire, their ashes curling like your unspoken dreams. The sensory weight is relentless. The candle's wax drips, its acrid scent stinging your nose, mixing with the ink's metallic bite and the study's damp stone chill. The gown's embroidery scratches your arms, the velvet heavy as guilt, its folds pooling around you like a cage. The quill's feather brushes your cheek, a fleeting softness. The parchment's rustle loud in the silence, its edges curling like your resolve. Sounds surround you, the fires crackle, the winds moan through the window, the distant clank of a guard's armor, the faint echo of the boy's laughter from the hall hours ago. The tapestries loom, their woven kings and queens staring, their triumphs mocking your solitude. The study is a refuge, but its walls close in, each breath heavy with the dynasty's demands. The noble's schemes, glimpsed in the hall, haunt you here. They use the boy's youth, flattering him with gifts, hawks, swords, promises of glory, to pull him from your orbit. You think of Catherine de' Medici, whose control over the teenage Henry II was undermined by Diane de Poitiers, a mistress who swayed the boy king's heart, or Margaret of Anjou, whose marriage to the teenage Henry VI left her battling nobles who exploited his weakness, fueling England's civil wars. Your boy consort, still learning to navigate court, is their prize, his inexperience a tool to curb your power. You counter their moves, keeping him close, guiding his words, but each effort drains you, your strength sapped by a role that demands both ruler and nursemaid. The council's promises, stability, heirs, loyalty, ring hollow against your loneliness, your life a chessboard where you're both player and pawn. You recall the wedding, the cathedral's incense and bells, the boy's clammy hand as you exchanged rings, the crowd's cheers masking their plots. You think of Joanna, dubbed the Mad, whose love for Philip turned to despair as his youth and charm became tools for Habsburg ambition, her power stripped by a boy she tried to guide. Your own boy, perhaps a cousin to keep the bloodline pure, as the Habsburgs did, is a similar burden. His youth, meant to secure your dynasty, isolates you, his presence a reminder of freedom lost. You write another line, the ink smudging. My crown is my chain. The words are a prayer, a plea to God whose cross hangs at your neck, his favour a hope against the court's judgment, his silence a weight in the study's gloom. The night deepens, the candle guttering, the fire's embers fading. You imagine the boy, his chambers nearby, his dreams untouched by your pain. The court sleeps, but its schemes linger, nobles plotting to sway him, to use his youth against you. You've survived wars, outmaneuvered rivals, but this marriage is a quieter battle, fought in your heart. The dynasty's survival rests on you, on the heirs you must bear, the boy you must guide, but the cost is yours alone. The study's silence is a mirror, reflecting a queen whose strength hides a breaking spirit. The Viking queen's fierce songs, tales of shield maidens unbound, are a distant echo, their freedom a fleeting comfort as you face the dawn's relentless call. The dawn breaks over your palace, a queen gazing from a balcony as sunlight gilds the spires. The world shifting beneath your feet. Perhaps in 19th century Britain or a fading European court. The private study, where you poured out your heart's grief over a boy husband, lies behind you, its ink-stained desk a relic of a fading era. You're older now, your crown lighter with experience, your gown of silk whispering against marble floors. Below, carriages rattle, their wheels clattering on cobblestones, carrying news of a changing world, Enlightenment ideas, romantic dreams, and whispers of science that challenge the old ways. The practice of forcing queens to marry teenagers, once a cornerstone of dynasty, is crumbling, and you, like Queen Victoria, stand at the threshold of change, reshaping royal marriage with choices that echo beyond your reign. This is no longer a game of bloodline purity, but a quest for peace and agency, your legacy etched in a new dawn. Let the winds sigh and the distant bells lull you toward slumber. The palace balcony is a perch above history, its air crisp with morning dew, carrying the scent of roses from the gardens below, and the faint smoke of a city waking. Your silk gown, lighter than the heavy velvets of your youth, sways in the breeze, its embroidery, roses or thistles, soft against your skin, the crown you've set aside gleaming on a cushioned table. The balcony's marble balustrade is cool under your hands, its carvings worn by centuries of royal palms. Beyond, the city hums, vendors' calls, horses' hooves, the chime of a distant cathedral bell marking the hour. You're a queen, perhaps in your 40s, like Victoria in 1840. Your reign a bridge between the rigid traditions of medieval courts and a modern world where love and choice begin to matter. The boy you wed, a teenage consort chosen to secure. Your throne is now a man, or perhaps a memory. His youth a chapter closed as you face a future unbound by old chains. You're a queen regnant, like Victoria, whose marriage to Albert at 20 broke the mould. Not a boy forced upon her, but a cousin. She chose their union a partnership, not a pawn's move. Unlike Catherine of Aragon, wed at 15 to a teenage Arthur Tudor to bind Spain and England, or Mary of Scots, paired at 15 with the 14-year-old Francis for French alliances. Your era questions the old logic of teenage grooms. The royal intermarriage documents tales of bloodline purity, Egypt's sibling pharaohs, Habsburg cousin unions, once justified such matches, keeping wealth and power within the family, as Spain's sangre azul demanded. But now, the Enlightenment's light reveals the cost. Weakened heirs, dynasties crumbling under inbreeding's weight, like the Habsburgs' end with Charles II, sterile and frail from generations of close-kin unions. You stand at a crossroads, your choices shaping a legacy that rejects forced matches for a new ideal. The shift is slow, a tide turning under the surface. You think of your court, once a chessboard where advisors moved you to marry a boy for alliances, or heirs, as in Segment 3's cathedral vows or Segment 4's nursery demands. Now, the world breathes differently. Philosophers speak of individual rights, poets sing of love, and scientists, though without modern genetics, whisper lessons from animal husbandry. Breeding in and in weakens the stock. You recall Victoria, dubbed the grandmother of Europe, who married her 9 children to foreign royals, not to hoard bloodline purity, but to weave a web of peace across nations. Her choice of Albert, a partner near her age, was a rebellion against the forced matches of old, like Joanna of Castile's to the teenage Philip, whose union cost her freedom and sanity. Your own marriage, perhaps to a boy cousin to secure your dynasty, taught you the cost, humiliation, isolation, as Segment 6's study revealed. But now you seek a different path. The balcony offers perspective, the city below a tapestry of change. You imagine your daughters, their futures unshackled. From teenage grooms, Victoria's strategy, marrying her children to German, Russian, or Danish royals, spread influence, not confinement, though it carried unforeseen costs. Haemophilia, the royal disease, passed to Russia and Spain, a reminder that bloodlines still hold secrets. You too consider your heirs, their marriages a chance to forge peace, not chains. The old fear, losing lands to outsiders, as Segment 4's inheritance game warned, fades as nationalism rises, kingdoms defined by culture, not just blood. The rigid rules of rank and religion, which Segment 2's council room enforced, soften. A queen might marry for alliance, but love creeps into the equation, a whisper of agency in a world once ruled by duty alone. The emotional weight is lighter here, though not gone. You've borne the crown's burden, navigating nobles' schemes, as Segment 5's hall showed, or wrestling with private grief in Segment 6's study. The boy husband, once a child at your side, his voice cracking at feasts, is now a man, perhaps distant, shaped by your guidance or the court's flattery. You think of your mother, her life a mirror of duty, her warnings about sacrifice now a fading echo. The court below, its nobles less predatory in this new era, respects your will, their whispers of rebellion dulled by progress. Yet the past lingers. Your heart carries scars from years of being a pawn. Your marriage a contract to secure a throne, not a bond of choice. God's favor, a locket at your neck, is a prayer answered in this dawn. His judgment softened by a world that values your voice. The sensory weight is gentler, the balcony a haven from the court's clamor. The morning air is cool, tinged with rose and smoke. The silk gown soft against your skin, its folds swaying like a flag of change. The marble balustrade grounds you, its carvings, lions or roses, telling stories of a dynasty now free to evolve. Sounds surround you, the cathedral's bells, softer now, the clatter of carriages, a vendor's distant shout, the rustle of your gown in the breeze. The crown, set aside, gleams, its pearls catching the sun, a symbol of power you wield with new purpose. The city's colours, red roofs, green gardens, sparkle, a canvas of possibility, unlike the study's dim confinement. The balcony is a threshold, its openness a promise of freedom from the chains that bound queens to boys. The court awaits, its rituals softer in this era. You'll meet your council, their parchments now outlining trade, not forced marriages, their voices tempered by Enlightenment ideals. You think of Victoria, whose reign saw the decline of cousin marriages, her children's unions fostering peace, not purity. The Habsburgs' lesson, Their dynasties collapse under inbreeding's weight, as the royal intermarriage document detailed, haunts the courts of Europe, urging change. Your own legacy, shaped by a marriage you didn't choose, now pivots. You'll guide your heirs to marry for strength, not obligation. Their partners chosen for compatibility, not just blood. The old game, alliances through teenage grooms, as Segment 3's Cathedral showed, fades, replaced by a vision of interconnected nations, a web of kinship that binds without breaking. The dawn brightens, the city alive with possibility. You, imagine your heirs, their futures free from the nursery's empty cradle, their marriages partnerships, not prisons. The boy you wed, perhaps grown into a partner or lost to time, is a shadow softened by this new light. You've survived the court's schemes, the dynasty's demands, your strength forged in isolation, as Segment 5's haul and Segment 6's study revealed. Now, you stand as a bridge, your legacy a rejection of forced matches, a nod to a world where queens might choose. The Viking queen's fierce songs, tales of shield maidens, are a distant echo, their strength mirrored in your resolve as you face a future unbound by blood's old chains.